This is the market update. Can Bitcoin bounce back? Will the big down move be in legacy? And did the stop loss sellers just sell their crypto to BlackRock? Is crypto a safe haven? I'm going to give an answer. It may be yes. And the biggest crash of all time may be in legacy, not crypto. We will see. We will check everything out. Charts, news, the works. Okay, let's welcome who's here. We have Elias. Welcome. Elias. Thank you for the compliment. We appreciate you. Laughing Dolphin is here. Lloyd in the house. Zach Blackstone talking silver. Don't let me forget to do live TA in silver. JB from Southern California earlier in the day. Patriot here from New Orleans. Bull Runner, Routine Cheese, Jacob, appreciate the love. Thank you. Okay, so today is 9/11. My friends from high school, my last name is Noble, a guy named O'Grady, so everything in school was he was either in front of me or behind me in alphabetical order in many of my classes. And he was working on floor 108. Today's an important day to be grateful for what you have. Today is also an important day to remember frequently that government responses to crises are often worse than the crises themselves. My understanding is Homeland Security is now like this independent entity regulated by nobody who basically can do whatever they want. That's a far cry from back then, where we would have agreed to just about anything to get revenge because we were all so angry. So if you're young and you weren't there, they say never forget. You can never forget your friends. But I think if you're in crypto, you can never forget that governments will take advantage of these type of situations. And what winds up happening is, even though you're all for it at the time, they wind up using it as a way to pull your freedom. They say never let a good crisis go to waste, or in Chinese, the Chinese character for crisis is a mix of the characters for danger and opportunity. So may the God of my understanding bless my friend Andy and my other classmates. And as crypto people, may we all remember that we're in crypto for money, but we're also in crypto for freedom. And let's hit the like button for me and for my buddies today. Wrong Again says total 3 is hitting support. Don't let me forget to do that in live TA. Okay. John is noting that there's a big religious date around the 25th. A lot of historical volatility started around then. I was waving the 29 crash book around this last week. The 22nd was the day when something suddenly happened and that whole process got rolling down the hill. Okay. Sydney Oss, the pivotal trader. Welcome. Okay. So let me write this down. So we're looking at Solana, which had kind of an unbelievable move over the weekend. Total 3 and silver. Okay. Let's go to the news. News. UK researchers are going to start using AI for traffic control. Okay, when they start turning human features over to AI, I wonder how long AI takes to figure out that the government doesn't have any credibility. You'll notice today bonds and the dollar were down at the same time. And Ray Dalio published a story about how 89% of the population do not think the United States can be governed fairly, and 65% of the people don't have any faith in the legal system. Based on those numbers, they're going to be turning it all over to AI soon. I don't know if that's good or bad. Okay, Australian pension fund buys into European data centers. So data is king. I just bought a printer. Speaking of a case for crypto and privacy. So I had a printer. Laughably, I bought it 10 years ago. Basically, I plugged it in, entered the Wi-Fi password. My computers picked it up. It was done. HP, in order to install the same printer, required me to put an app on my phone. So they're getting all the data off my phone. And I had to put the app on every single computer that's connected to the printer. So yeah, it's all about data and it's all about your data. I'm wondering one day when someone's going to figure out privacy is king. No more exceptionalism for US banks in China. Let me ask you something. What exactly is the point of the president of the United States announcing that one of our major enemies doesn't have enough money to fight a conflict overseas on an island that's across the way from where they are? What is the point in that announcement? Like, who does it help? Does it help me? Does it help you? It doesn't help anybody. So it just encourages these guys to retaliate. And again, remember, hate to be a downer, but 87 was marked by trade tensions. Google prepares for the biggest US antitrust showdown since Microsoft. So Google should probably be broken up into two entities. They probably should have done that because it would have created more shareholder value, or so does somebody like Cramer say. One of the worst things that can ever happen is that the government come in, because whatever the government does is inherently wrong, right? They want to do something to Google in order to enhance their careers. And if they actually did it, you might ask yourself how many people at Google might lose their job, right? I went to business school, and I remember during this final exam that was 8 hours long, that the guy said you didn't know the answer to a question or any question. If you wrote down government is evil, you would get an automatic B for the midterm and an automatic B in the class. Now, only one guy took him up on that. I never thought I would see the day where government was actually evil. At least, certain governments. Oh, here we are at the supermarket. They want you scanning coupons. They want you doing electronic auto shopping. You know what? I want a cell phone that has like ZK protection. I know that's not the right term, but there's got to be a way to prove my age without telling anybody how actually old I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, I went to the bank and there was a problem and they needed to see my social security card, my 53-year-old social security card. And I was just marveling, sitting there with the guy, that this little flimsy piece of paper was my identity. Shouldn't it be on a blockchain? It certainly should be. It's got to be, right? Employers and staff seek a truce on office working. So some companies are moving to more flexible models. I hate it when people act entitled. I think it's a big mistake, honestly. I think if your employer says go to work, you should go to work, right? I don't like entitlement. An interventionist SEC risks a courtroom backlash. God, where has this group been? I mean, this is the Financial Times, but people, the one thing that may be working still in the United States is that judges know what their job is. Their job is to enforce laws, not to legislate from the bench. And that's what Gensler is asking people to do. He's asking people to legislate from the bench. It's not going to happen. I like this. Credit hedge funds profit as companies face soaring borrowing cost. So as they face soaring borrowing costs, their corporate bonds go down, and then allegedly the hedge funds can pick up the bonds super cheap and hodl them long term. That may work. Or something may happen with the government shutdown and interest rates could spiral higher and everybody holding bonds could freak out, which was probably why crypto was running scared this morning, because ZB, the destroyer of worlds, was down. Now, later on, we're going to go into, like my boss said, it was just a stop fishing exercise. in crypto, and crypto is fine, and he could be right. That's why this is called Can Bitcoin Bounce Back? The real problem is in legacy. Leroy from Las Vegas is here. Welcome. Welcome to the show. EU downgrades growth forecast and raises inflation expectations. People, the next big shoe to drop is credit cards. And I got that from my boss. I have no idea how people are going to pay for anything this Christmas. Like, go online and Google jobs in asset protection and security. It's like off the charts, right? I mean, people aren't going to have money. They're not going to have their credit cards. You know, the only people who have money are the people who can afford to hodl crypto. And supposedly that's only 5% of the world population. Wouldn't it be funny if there was a civil disturbance, a social disturbance, or a financial disturbance and people had to start taking crypto? Now, I say these things, and I usually have kind of a pet theory or two every live stream. Every time you sit down or I sit down at my desk, I try to use my imagination to help you see things differently. So if the market's down, I'll tell you two things. One, if Bitcoin does not recover, then selling may need to lead to more selling. The good news is if Bitcoin does recover, it was just a stop fishing exercise. And Bitcoin still reserves the right to be a safe haven in the event that legacy becomes totally unglued. Totally unglued. Okay. This is kind of funny. Meta is building an AI model to rival OpenAI's most powerful system. You want to know what's really funny? Is I canceled my subscription to ChatGPT because I think the Bing version that's free works much better. And it's funny how they're all chasing this. I saw articles where they're going to have a tough time using ChatGPT inside businesses. So, I mean, I know AI is going to take over the whole world, but I don't know. Is it going to take over the whole world today? And should the focus be on different forms of money? So it's amazing how they're selling crypto, and we'll do a bunch of live TA on this in a second. Vitalik's Twitter gets hacked. 691,000 drained from victims' wallets. One thing I'll always say about crypto is one of the only markets out there that like it almost like it F's itself. It really does. It F's itself. You know, let's talk about conspiracy theories. I saw a video today of Rand Paul's dad, going back to 1998 and all the way back to 2007, issuing warnings about the type of things that are currently unfolded based on our foreign policy. And I'm going to be honest with you, people thought he was out of his mind. People thought he was out of his mind. And you know what? He turned out to be right about everything. About everything. Every single thing the guy said was like absolutely straight up and down true. Minnesota in the house. Ashton, welcome. Loan Shark is here. Robin, Mark, Crypto Crazy. Okay. Wrong again says, you know, he wishes something were true because the credit card situation at 30% interest is not sustainable in the United States. There's just no way. Okay. Here's another example of the interesting things about crypto. A new crypto scam shows Perils of Twitter a $25 million giveaway of a token called GBTC, which is the letters associated with Grayscale, is an obvious fake. Folks, don't click on anything. Don't click on anything. And frankly, get your Bitcoin into cold storage. A lot of influencers give this lecture. I normally don't go there, but there's like in my news flow this morning, there's like 2 or 3 different articles about hacks. 2 or 3 different articles about hacks. The more popular it gets, okay, the more the hackers come out. Let's go to live TA. Okay, let's start with DeMark. So this is Bitcoin on a 90-minute chart. So as you can see, whatever they just did ran all the stops from all these wicks. Now, if you look at a 90-minute chart, there's a 5 and a 0. Okay, that means there is a case for that to be the end of the down move. Okay, if you look at a 4-hour chart, you know, it looks a little bit more grim to me, right? They took out support. Yes, there is indications with the C and the 5 that that could be it. So maybe you have like one more day of this slumping. But folks, here's the question that I'm trying to ask myself. Stocks, bonds, dollar, crypto. How in God's name is crypto getting hammered first? Crypto gets hammered first. Well, there's only one answer to that. There's only one answer to that. And that's because crypto is afraid of higher interest rates. That they're afraid of ZB, which, as you know, I call Thanos, right? This is the long bond futures contract, right? Now, if this goes down, Bitcoin goes down. No instrument on the planet can survive higher long-term interest rates. No speculative asset. Now, somebody on the GLDN Twitter space asked a real interesting question. They said, all right, well, if you're expecting some type of 1929 or 1987 style event, what does that look like? Okay, so 2 quick thoughts. One, it's scarier than you think, because even if you know it's coming, it can still be frightening. Like this morning, you wake up, Solana's down. Why? Right? The confusion is what's toxic. The second thing is you have to be careful that they don't just do it all in one day. Like how in God's name does ZB get from 120 to 106? How does that happen? That's a huge move. Huge. I don't know. Does the U.S. government lose credibility in one day? I mean, how far can they push this? The citizens don't believe in them. Foreigners are attacking the dollar. The president of the United States has health issues. Mask mandates are back. This could happen all in one day. And ironically, crypto frequently serves as the canary in the coal mine. Right? Now let's go to ETH. So probably the best case for support in crypto is the fact that 1550 is a good support level in ETH. Thank goodness, right? ETH, ironically, has more chart support than Bitcoin does on a 90-minute chart, right? It's this dotted line on DeMark work. Now, if you go to a 4-hour chart, okay, you know, this thing where ETH, you know, kind of failed near 1600, like ETH's got to get its act together like right now. Like right now. Like, you know, ETH can maybe thrust to the downside one more time, but you want to see ETH start turning around now. Right now. And if it doesn't, then I think you can start to read into it. If crypto does come back, well, of course, we're going to be happy about that. We're a crypto channel. Wrong again says, don't get shaken out. BlackRock is loving this. Okay. FD White is asking a really good question here. Can a UAW strike tip us into recession? So I had a lot of traction on this on TikTok, ironically. Let me take this off just for a second. According to what I'm told, the UAW strike shaves $5.6 billion off GDP for every 10 days that they're on strike. Now, in this environment, I certainly support people's need to get higher wages. I don't sometimes think labor unions are the way to get them, but in some ways, for the first time in my life, I'm looking at them and I'm going, I don't blame them. Okay. I don't blame them. Now, if they go on strike, if they stay on strike or their strike turns into a general strike, then that's when you have a problem. That's when you have a problem. In other words, if these guys wind up bending their employers over the table, okay, that's where you have to worry. Now, I also think that if they get what they want and there's continued wage pressure, I mean, the Fed definitely can't tighten with what's going on with credit cards, the banks, and the government funding issues at the end of the month. But if they get what they want, I don't see how wage pressure can be controlled in some degrees. Some news just in. Xbox launching its own credit card in 2024, undoubtedly to help people pay for Christmas presents. Okay. Former PayPal president says we're trying to turn Bitcoin into a global payment network. So when everybody got stopped out today in Bitcoin, or they get stopped out in the next couple of days, there's big people buying it down there. Again, the thing about Bitcoin that you have to be careful about is that if Bitcoin holds or goes up, is Bitcoin going to benefit at the expense of everything else? So it's okay to be pro Bitcoin. It's okay to not want to sell your Bitcoin to BlackRock below 25. I totally get it. I totally get it. So I think that would be our cue, okay, to go to Total 3 and just like start taking a look at like some of these market cap statistics along with Solana. Okay, so Total 3 has again returned to a somewhat familiar support point. Now, obviously, I would want altcoins to hold. These little readings here where that Williams oscillator is kind of close to zero. Maybe today was the big down move that it was predicting. And these things, these colored blue bars called squat bars, usually occur within 2 or 3 days of a low. So we would hope within 2 or 3 days, Total 3 would stop going down. That's basically where we're at. That basically is where we're at. So let's go to Solana. Kind of some serious Solana puking over the weekend. I have some concerns that, this whole idea, like I heard one small little rumor about venture capital selling in Solana. And now it feels like whoever's got to sell it is panicking. That's what it feels like. Like this on a 4-hour chart, this feels like panic. And it may not be over for, say, another 16 hours. If you look at a 90-minute chart, okay, there's a 13 bottom. That's great, but it better rally. So you have a 13 bottom, you have a C and a 5, which is a nice way of saying in D wave, this should be it. It should be done. Right? Again, why is crypto going lower when all the problems are in legacy? Now, if you go to a daily chart of Solana, okay, you maybe have 2 more days and your downside is 16. Is crypto the problem out there in the world? No. That's why it's so nauseating to watch them take this whole thing out on crypto. I mean, Web3, your identity, privacy, it's literally like Wendy O mentioned this. It's like literally it's dead. It's like we're dead and everyone is chasing AI data centers when I think what's going to happen is corporations, talking to a guy from IBM, every company is going to have their own custom AI platforms Maybe they could build it on things like IBM Watson. Maybe they can build it on something Microsoft gives them. But I mean, this whole thing that AI is just going to absolutely change everything and massively increase corporate earnings at the stock market level, I don't believe it. Just don't believe it. But of course, if people see stocks as a haven from bonds, if people see Tesla going up, like, I mean, look at this move today in Tesla. I mean, Tesla taking out support, taking out resistance, and starting to start a trend, another trend higher with Bitcoin cracking. You know, if you had said to me as a crypto guy that Tesla would break out and that Bitcoin would collapse, Tesla would take out resistance and Bitcoin would be collapsing through support with the monetary policy that we have, I would have told you that you're out of your mind. But again, you know something's coming. You know it's going to be weird. You know it's not going to be good. And the next thing you know, Tesla's up and Bitcoin is crashing through 25K. I mean, who would have thought that? Nobody. Not me. Not me. Okay. So let's just say that the stock market and the bond market have a lot of waking up to do. They're taking that out on crypto. I still think there's a floor underneath crypto in the event that this thing goes totally nuclear. Okay. And if it doesn't go totally nuclear, then stocks and then crypto is going to come back with a vengeance. Now, let's look at this funny stuff. Look at DXY top. I mean, you could say that this is profit taking, but I mean, this I have to look up what kind of candlestick formation this is. But I mean, when you have a green candle, a giant doji, and then a red candle, I mean, that looks like a top to me. So it's really weird that the dollar is lower, bonds are lower, and crypto is lower. Like somebody is wrong there. And if people have lost confidence in the United States, I have no idea why people are selling crypto. Again, where are the problems? The problems are in legacy. And I don't know how much longer people can kick the can down the road in the United States. In other words, if you go back to 9/11, I see more talk about 9/11 and how the policy responses around that have backfired on the American people. And then you wake up and they're smashing the dollar. They're also smashing Ethereum. Okay, let's take a look at XRP. XRP Army, freaking total despair. 13 bottom, no rally, nothing. And then they're just smashing it and going the other way. You probably got 5 more down days of this. I mean, I got to go on YouTube and say these things, and I swear to God, it feels like nails on a chalkboard. Okay. You know, AI related stuff like Jasmy, you know, it's got support just underneath it. And let's just hope support holds. I mean, really, in crypto, that's kind of what you're doing. That's kind of what you're doing. You're just sort of praying that stuff holds. Okay. If we go over to stocks, right? Let's go to TLT. That's a bond market ETF. So really, when it comes to crypto, the question is, you know, will bonds stop going lower? Will bonds stop going lower? If bonds stop going lower and rates stop rising, then you'll be saying, damn, I wish I bought 25K Bitcoin. Okay, so here's TLT, and here's a bunch of really confusing DeMark signals. So you have a 12, and these little pluses are telling you that the next big down move will be a 13. Okay, that's TLT. That's the long bond ETF. But then you have QQQ that just won't go down. Now, I think when you have this 1, 2, 3, 4, if there was a day to sell QQQ, it would be today. It would be today, because look at VIX. Let's look at VIX. Let's see if VIX is under 14 or not. I'm looking at this and I'm saying, how do I hedge a crypto portfolio? Like, look at this give up trade in fear. I'm just going to put VIX daily here. Now, this also brings up another point, which, is for your own market education. Like, really what I've been doing the last couple streams is essentially doing various forms of market education. In bear markets, bulls lose money and bears lose money. Everybody loses money in bear markets. So what would you have done on Friday? Well, you would have said, I want to hold on to my crypto because Bitcoin's not going to take out 25K, and I'm going to buy puts in the stock market because, if the stock market gives out, it'll hedge my crypto portfolio. And what happens? You walk in and crypto's down all weekend and Monday, running stops, and VIX is down. So your stock market puts would have gone against you or vanished. Okay. Sometimes the market, I think this market is for traders. Now, let's talk about some good news in crypto. MicroStrategy has held 340. Okay. There is this giant diamond formation, and MicroStrategy held despite everybody selling it for whatever mysterious reason. It was at 337 this morning, and I was like, oh my God, and 340 is holding. There is a ton of reason to believe in Bitcoin if MicroStrategy can keep it together. Okay, GBTC, not the most perfect looking chart, but it is interesting that GBTC is holding. Right? It's trying to get itself out of this accumulation cone, but it's holding. MicroStrategy is the absolute key. Okay, Richard Barry is, please someone sell me their Bitcoin. There are so many reasons to buy Bitcoin. It's really, there are so many reasons, which makes you wonder why it was down. How could it be down? Okay, let's talk about silver. Let's go to a 4-hour chart. So the good news is that interest rates were up this morning and precious metals held. As my boss said, if you had looked back and you had said interest rates would be at 5%, where would precious metals be? You would say massively lower, and they're not. Neither is Bitcoin. So I think if silver holds 23, short-term upside target is 25.5. Now, as I've said, if something happens in legacy and precious metals don't rally, that's the go sign for crypto. The go sign. And when I talk about the biggest crash in history, I'm actually talking about legacy, not crypto. I know everybody over the weekend thinks it's crypto because of crypto being down. There is something so wrong in legacy. And I swear, this time of the year with a solar eclipse in October, you got parallels to 29, you got parallels to 87. It would take some serious courage to stay long crypto, knowing what can happen in legacy. And you know what? That trade may just work. Now, one piece of advice. My theme all year was buy on red. And I don't really mind that. But if red begets more red, then you may have trouble with a hedge fund. This is something that we have not talked about. We've talked about 29, talked about 87. What we haven't talked about is 1998. Okay. Back in 1998, there was a big move in an Asian currency, and that triggered some quant funds to blow up. When you have interest rates that have moved the way they've moved, you have to be careful that there isn't a hedge fund blow up out there somewhere. Like when I saw crypto down this morning, I was like, uh-oh, I wonder if somebody is in trouble. Because the Fed knows how much trouble is out there, whether it's credit cards, banks, retailers, you name it. The number of problems in legacy is large. The number of problems in crypto, I mean, I don't know. How many more problems can we have? We have Gensler, we had FTX, we have fear of this and that. I vote for crypto as something that can actually survive. The question is, how much downside do you have to put up with? And could that downside all unfold in 1 or 2 days? This is the tricky part, right? Everyone's like, all right, well, maybe it's like 2022 where it's like that. What happens if it's whoosh all in one day? Sorry about the sound effects, but one day we'll have a sound effects machine on the show. Ha ha. What happens if they do whatever it is they're going to do in 2 days? Meanwhile, silver looks okay. Silver is holding its own. Let's check gold. Really, for gold to get going, it's got to get above 1932. Okay, let's go back to Bitcoin. Let's look at it on a daily chart basis. Okay, so looking at the daily chart of Bitcoin, massive support at 25,165. So again, this looks like a stop fishing exercise in Bitcoin. And if you wanted to answer, can Bitcoin recover? It can. It's just that the question is this a multi-day stop fishing exercise or just 1 day? ETH. Okay. ETH, there's a 13 bottom today. So I guess that's your answer. If you have a 13 bottom in ETH, then you should see a recovery. But you had a 13 bottom over here. Oh, Jesus, did I get hosed over here? I saw this 13 bottom. This was the Grayscale decision, and then it was a failed rally. So in Ethereum, beware the failed rally. Beware the failed rally. Okay. Wrong again says media is setting up China as the scapegoat for legacy. That's true. That's true. Okay. Andre says he's late. You're never too late. You're never too early. You're right on time. And Steve J says banks are going to be the thing that triggers social disorder. You know, folks, I know it's kind of corny and it sounds borderline rumble. But one of the things that, again, Dalio continues to do is publish these things like the survey of 43,000 people that don't trust the government, etc. You got to start backing out. Like, what could really create social disorder? Banks failing. Okay. Problems with elections. You know, everybody wants, you know, a certain son of a former attorney general to be the crypto president. And then I have somebody telling me that the machine of one of his parties or both parties don't want him. We all want a crypto president. And one guy's like, yeah, the deep state will never support it. I really hope when you're looking, now you're probably like, well, what does that have to do with the Ethereum chart? Well, as you look at the Ethereum chart, Mr. Market is going to let us know what we think about our theories about freedom, about AI running on the blockchain, whether or not the US is governable or ungovernable, whether or not higher rates destroy crypto just because they destroy everything. Now, I'm hoping from a tactical point of view that you get some sort of rally. You should, which leads me to my final point. Beware the failed rally. Man, if you, this hurt me so hard. Like, I just couldn't believe that this thing turned around and went down again. Now, hopefully it turns around and goes up again so we can have a much more upbeat live stream. I like upbeat live streams. So let's cheer for Bitcoin on support. Here's Bitcoin on support, right? And here's ETH with the 13 bottom. Now, again, hopefully it works out better than XRP. Can you imagine XRP at 35 cents, which is where the big DeMark point is? I can't even bear to watch. I know we said we're going to do Solana, but I don't think I did the daily chart of Solana. Okay, Solana headed for support at 16, and you got 2 more down days until you see a 13. So you're going to see a 13 bottom in a lot of the big altcoins. And the question is, will you get a rally that confirms the bottom? And hopefully it's not something like what you got with GBTC. Okay, let's sum this up. Everything hinges on what MicroStrategy does. If MicroStrategy holds 340, Bitcoin will hold. I'm getting more and more convinced that if Bitcoin holds or goes up, it's going to be at the expense of every single altcoin. Because I don't know how altcoins or anything outside Bitcoin survives a problem with bonds or stocks. There is definitely something wrong with legacy, and there is probably something wrong with the United States in general. Just saying. And you may see that come to a head in September, late September, like the 22nd. Somewhere in that area, that comes from the religious event that somebody brought up here, like kind of an astrology religion crossover. And that was the date where things got ugly in 1929, as well as I think the fall solstice or the fall equinox, it's called. Can your portfolio handle like 2 giant down days across risk assets? Because we know what a downtrend looks like, but what we don't know is like a flash crash that lasts 3 days. Because that's kind of what happened in crypto in a small way over the weekend. Kind of had down, down, and then you had all the stops run on Monday. What happens if you have a bigger version of that in legacy or crypto? What is your plan in Bitcoin? If Bitcoin went to 20 or 19, what would you do? Now, I don't have necessarily an answer for that today. I would say start dollar cost averaging, but that doesn't matter. What matters is your opinion and your view and your plan about your portfolio. And I, of course, will be here to help. This is Bill Noble. We'll see you on Thursday.